Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIII. So yeah, now that Vanille... Oh yeah, we also talked over it, but yeah, we also saw Bahamut being used by Fang. It's fine.
Like I said, attack-wise it's fine, but again, the appearance is just not really for me. Even the actual dragon form is supposed to be the Gestalt form.
I feel like the Eidolons as a whole are a very cool concept, but from what I have seen and recall, when you summon them, they don't do as much damage as you would think Almighty Summons should do in the Final Fantasy game.
Well, no, like I said, if anything, outside of 10, this is actually the game where you get most of the control and some different things you can do with them.
I'm talking strictly about the power.
Well, okay, that depends because each game kind of works with its own kind of rules. For example, in 7, the summons do actually are powerful enough from the moment they show up, essentially. So even if some of them do not carry over to the late game, you do get others that you can use to have, powerful attacks up until 2 nights of a round. But for example, I think I mentioned somewhere else, but I argue that in Final Fantasy VI, the summoning of the actual Espers is the weakest part of them. And again, there is a story reason, because their powers are actually weak, so they're more good for giving the stats to the protagonist than being actually used in combat. But it kind of feels a bit of a letdown trying to summon someone like Ifrit and not being as powerful and spectacular as it is. Speaking of fire...
So, Pedro, as the one playing this game, what do you think of the Eidolons gameplay-wise?
It's okay, I guess, but very rarely do I feel the need to use them because, again, the battle system isn't really made to take advantage of them. Not really.
And yes, it showed before the Brynhildr becomes a muscle car.
Which is flipping awesome.
Transformers.
I don't really know even the logic behind it. Satan's not been really established as a car pilot. Sure, he knows how to drive an airship, but not a car.
What? So what you're saying? So what you're saying? So what you're saying, Taylor, is why is Sazen a car?
Sure.
Because Final Fantasy XIII sucks.
So Pedro, why don't you go more into detail about how the gameplay with the Eidolons you feel doesn't work as well with this?
Well, look at it. As you can see, I don't do much damage with them. See, they don't do that much damage. See, that's because remember, Jova, the game is the battle system is entirely dependent on the stagger gauge. As a result, as a result, you can argue, well, stagger the enemy first, I guess, but at the same time, honestly, trust me, it becomes a lot more easy and just more faster to just keep mashing on the staggered enemies anyway. When you're because remember, while you're summoning the Eidolon, the stagger gauge keeps decreasing, so it's actually counterproductive to try doing that. So honestly, the Eidolons are kinda useless for the most part. They serve as nice eye candy, since I know that's what Toriyama loves best, but...
And you have to consider also the fact that their element also applies to the fight. If you're using someone like Brynhildr to an enemy that normally resists fire, you're not really gonna have that best of time. But yeah, I think it's something that it's called complacement gaming syndrome, I think, where essentially you have a variety of options, but you have a better and efficient one, so you're basically just gonna use that over everything else because it's just better and efficient.
Also, can I just talk about this? So, for most of the game, most of the time when you're using a particular character, you won't be focusing on the elements as much. So, let's say you want to try out your Eidolon, and then now the game decides to bring in elemental typing,
the only one who doesn't is Bahamut, because that has been always, neutral in terms of element. So if you don't want to have that caveat, bring Fang, I suppose.
I'm not quite sure if I'd say it's as bad as Mighty Number 9, but this does feel like one of those cases where every time you try and find something good, wholesome, or fun about this game, it finds a way to ruin it. I wouldn't say it's as bad as Mighty Number 9 at that, because there are still some things I can actually say that are positive about this game without getting soiled, but the Eidolons feel like a prime time of that. Because Eidolons in this game seem like such a great concept. In fact, if anything, technically when you get down to it, they could be a replacement for the Chocobo in terms of being faster travel if, they implemented them into the overworld gameplay, since they literally become mounts. Hell, there's literally going to be a scene where we see our characters using them as mounts in a race, of all things.
I'm still not sure if it can work properly with Alexander, even taking that cutscene consideration, but...
Well, that's the thing, the cutscene exists, so apparently
Alright,
it can.
Speaking of hope...
Hey, look, guys, look at... Yeah, remember that brief bit from way earlier in the game? Yeah, we're gonna do this again.
Just in a cutscene, though. You think that it will make us play maybe fighting against that Atomos in this kind of state, but no. It's just a cutscene.
Hope could have killed himself.
Get out of there!
Gotta go fast.
Hope be balling.
Seriously, Hope, how are you
the
still...
Juggernaut just chose to save
How
him.
the-
Why?
You know what? Hope is too stupid to live at this point. Seriously, what?
Okay, so they're trying to make Hope the comic relief now, I guess.
Wait, and now they like him? They're trying to stop it? Why?
Because, Jova. Because. Seriously, Hope is such a fucking moron. I'm not gonna bother trying to run away and dodge this thing. I'm just going to put my hands in my face. That works.
Hey, guys, that's a bit of foreshadowing. A foul sea can't do anything against teamwork.
While we still have the chance.
And basically this translates to Atomos will be your transportation to the next dungeon, believe it or
We
not.
go then.
How are we going to hold on to him? He literally spins.
It actually has a chamber inside it that can be used as
How
a
convenient.
container.
Well, I got a minute, Jamie. You asked for something, but didn't get an answer. Oh, how convenient.
Well, yes, Dwibs. I want a good answer, obviously.
Well, I mean, what other answer is there?
One that maybe isn't as contrived. I mean, look, it's not like this ruins everything. It's just about a really how convenient.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how unnatural it is going inside a thing.
That's a thing, Dwibs.
Phrasing, Dwibs, a phrasing.
To be fair to Dwibs, that the characters themselves even say it, but that's the thing, Dwibs. There's no other way to get. Okay, I think it's now that we're gonna get that scene that gives us the final 13-day flashback. Yeah, right here. Okay, here we go.
Oh, I was gonna try and take a selfie.
What you doing?
I was talking to Serah. Just telling her that we're all gonna be okay.
I did it through
Brofist? Oh, okay.
Power bump?
Power bump. Hedgehog, you are a brave and noble warrior. Go towards your certain death.
I thought it was called a fist bump.
No, Shira, it's now named Power Bump. Go watch the movie.
Yeah.
But that doesn't fit into the song.
It does. I have declared it to fit, therefore it does fit.
But it doesn't.
Alright, time for out of nowhere
This is beautiful.
we get to know this, the fact that Vanille knew Serah personally.
Of course she did.
Vanille just knows everyone.
I have to admit, this kinda comes out of nowhere.
Basically, this is the first time that Vanille and Serah met.
How's the scrape? Huh? Fine.
Basically, Vanille wanted to try to see if she's okay, despite the fact that Vanille fucking doomed her.
Oh, sure you don't mind. I mean, I'm not keeping you from anything, am I? Not at all. Don't
Jesus
worry.
the Bloom.
I could sit here for hours.
That stare.
Don't
I
you
don't
just-
know, like...
Don't you just love this generation, Tio?
I guess 2010 was the year of Bloom.
I'm
They
not
is that
sure
a
if
premonition?
I still will take this over the 2009 brown color scheme as told in Metal Gear Rising Summary, but still.
Oh well,
See,
more side
the
then.
thing is, I was chasing after someone. And there's something I really need to apologize
They didn't want to be near me for some reason.
But you're so lovable. I can't imagine why.
Also, are you eating right? You're like skin and bones.
Yes.
Which one? They're both skinny.
Yeah, that's actually a good. Well, oh my God, Joe was right. I just, holy crap, those arms! I know I can't unsee it. I just
Literal twigs.
seriously look at Sarah's arms next time. Okay, in this shot you can't see that much.
I mean, it's close up, so it's like
Seriously,
the proportions look better close up than they do zoomed out, which doesn't make sense.
yeah. Even so, look at her arms. Next time we see them, hopefully.
You know.
Yeah, right here. Look at her arms. They're, oh my God, they're literally just bone with skin. There's no
They
meat.
got stick thin, or they're not pretty, or something. I don't know.
Considering how
It's not like it's unrealistic or anything.
also considering how these was mocap, I get the idea that there was at least some kind of resemblance.
I needed some time alone.
Okay, well,
I was so scared.
go on.
I tried to run away.
It's like that stupid complaint people had against Abby in Last of Us Part 2 when people said no woman has bulky arms like that, even though they literally showed a picture of the person they based Abby's physical model off clearly doing so.
Can we not bring up that game, please?
Yeah,
So-
I need an example, Joe.
To recap, they're both sad, but Sarah's fortunately not sad anymore because Snow told her, "Don't be sad, Sarah." Oh, okay then.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the
It's like
Digimon
a
movie.
Digimon movie. Oh, but okay. To be,
So
to be-
sad. It's the saddest story ever. Just get over it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. To be fair, in that context,
Oh, hold on, this
Willis is
bit.
just telling Davis, "Hey, it's my sob story, not yours."
Oh my.
And keep in mind how she's basically kind of trying to apologize, but at the same time she doesn't confess.
No,
God, the way that they're modeled there.
Even minding of the gather aside, it's still a very awkward pose overall.
Okay, so
Apologizing to her crotch.
yeah, the primary point is that Vanille is trying to apologize to Snow for all the crap that she's literally putting all these people through. So let's see what Snow does about it.
She did up as an ice cream.
But
Well, when we rescue her, maybe you'll get the chance.
Spoiler, she won't.
Yep.
Not even kidding. Basically, because of contrived coincidences, okay, there is one chance where Vanille gets to talk to Serah, technically in 13-2, but even then she doesn't bring up this.
So yeah, the basic gist of it is that Vanille's sorry that she dragged Serah into this, and Snow's response basically goes down to, well, what's done is done, no point in harping over. Again, she never at any point gets any comeuppance for anything she does. That's my problem. See, if Vanille actually had some kind of atonement, some kind of chance to it, and yes, I know what you're gonna say, Joe, but at the end of the game, not enough. We need more.
Actually, I was going to go with something different. To be fair, at this stage of the game, it would kind of be weird if they started yelling at her, because we've already had the big moment where Vanille has pretty much bared her heart and soul to the gang that, like, well, at this point, what was she expecting? For Snow to suddenly go back on his word and attack her?
No.
I feel like at this point, what the story expects for her to be a comeuppance was that big lashing that Saz gave her. Which, you know, the big dramatic scene with the rain, darkness, and everything. I'm not saying that it was enough. What I'm saying is that story-wise, would it really make much sense for Snow to get angry at her at this point in the story after they've already had the big team-up and, you know, makeup and all that stuff? Like, it's like one of the problems with The Predator, when supposedly after the point where the characters should all trust each other, suddenly Olivia Munn's character goes, "Oh, I don't trust you," even though we literally just a few minutes ago had a scene of her establishing trust with the group. So, like, I'm not saying it's good, I'm just saying that it would make even less sense if Snow suddenly went back to hating her and wanting to do something to her. Like, at this point, the moment for what you hope to be your comeuppance has sadly passed. Which, mind you, I'm not saying is a good thing. I'm just saying that, like, well, anything to keep the story from being even more of a mess than it already is.
It's so frustrating, but I'll talk about it after this.
Yeah, this is a more of a transitory dungeon, but you get to see this, which we didn't see in the original run.
Oh my, Seymour, your makeover has not been the best, I see.
Oh, it's Georg
That false
from Majora's
secret
Mask.
keeps the waterfront.
Must think we came to stir up trouble.
Well, if that's what it thinks, shouldn't we probably be heading off now?
So I know what you're
Looks like it's a
thinking.
little late for
Optional
that.
boss fight against these
He
guys?
looks pretty confident, too.
Nope.
It should be clumsy out of the water. If we can get it to
Yeah,
fire
even
or
Lightning
something.
suggested that. I do wonder
I
if
guess
it
that's
was
not happening.
actually planned, but they could not implement that.
Oh, we don't actually
Remember-
find it, it's just a cutscene.
Again, Tail,
It
probably
does create a couple of extra platforms with extra enemies and some treasures for you to get.
Again, Tail probably was indeed meant to be a boss, but by the time they had to actually finish this bloody thing, the boss wasn't finished, so it had to go, basically.
Here's an idea, why not include the Fal'Cie at all then? Because that cutscene literally feels like a setup for a fight.
Well, the Fal'Cie is still part of the mythology, so you have to
Yeah.
include them.
They could have
True,
reworded
true,
that
but
dialogue
all
just
he-
not to suggest that the party wanted to fight it.
That's the thing though, all his contributions go to is raise us some platforms so we can proceed. Like,
No, those
you-
are optional. Remember, Joel, we didn't need them in the original run. It's just an optional set of fights that you can have with some of the, frog-type enemies and Sagins in order to get some extra treasures.
So even less than those platforms could have been up all together and nothing would have changed without this particular Fal'Cie being included.
Let me put it this
But yeah, but even in general, Jova, again, the Sulyya Springs are just a quick of a moment. They come and go as just in a second.
Let me
I
put it.
guess it's nice that they included the Fal'Cie, but the fact that it made it seem like we were going to fight him and then have it not just makes his inclusion feel all the more pointless.
Okay, we're almost at the point where we're going to get what is, in my opinion,
CG cutscene.
in my opinion, actually the best cutscene in the game. Now, it's a it's a well-made cutscene in a vacuum, but when you put it in the larger context, it's a scene that the game doesn't earn. Basically, it's a well-made scene in a vacuum, but it's one of those cases where again the story that built up to this doesn't really work.
We walked
So
pretty far today.
anyway,
Let's rest up.
yeah, let's
Start
camp.
up.
Alright, so this is the part where Snow and Lightning finally kiss and make up.
Even though I feel like we already had a cutscene correlating to that, but this one works out well too.
How's Serah?
Same as we left her.
Careful, you may get allergies from
And
the
guess what?
sand puff off of that.
And guess what? This cutscene actually does make good use of Lightning's violent personality, actually,
Sarah
for a
says she
change,
wants to talk.
as you're about to see.
She'd probably prefer it if you skipped the lectures. Hey!
Once we're home, what's your plan? You're getting married, right?
The hell?
What's that?
Hold on.
Serah wants to know.
Don't scare me like that.
Oh my god, a subversion of the running gag that actually works in this game.
As if to say, if you don't like, if you dare hurt her, you're
This
fucked,
too will be
basically.
the last. I'll make sure of that.
That's all I need
Well,
to know.
Spoilers! Bear me.
Hindsight's a fucking bitch.
I have to count to the end of Lightning Returns, so technically speaking, in the end, yes, it will still happen, just not in the way you think.
Okay, not for nothing, but
You
I
can
still
trust
want
me
to
again.
see how the story
So
You will, Dweebs, don't
Don't-
worry.
Don't worry, you will
not
do
being
it.
spoiled.
No, trust me, Dweebs, saying this out of context can literally mean nothing.
Finish this
You know?
Yeah.
and go see her together.
Don't worry, Dwibs. You'll get the full Final Fantasy XIII trilogy
See,
experience.
that's actually one of the better moments for Lightning, you know, where Snow even wonders a bit. We will see her, right? And then Lightning puts her fist on his arm. Don't go there. No room for doubt. Again, this is a good scene in a vacuum.
And it
Problem.
happened way too late in the game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a good scene in a vacuum, problem is, when you put it in the larger context of the story, it just falls flat because the game doesn't earn it. So,
like, it's nice that this game it's nice that this scene happened at all, but keep in mind the point we're at this point in the game. If you want to finally get lightning and snow, just finally talking properly. Okay, granted, we did technically have those scenes prior, up in Cocoon, after the revelation came. Even still, that is beyond the halfway point of the game. Like, mind you, we're in, like, probably the third quarter of the game, essentially.
yeah.
And that's being generous, because some might even consider this technically the last quarter
Remember,
of the game.
Jova, we're in chapter 11 of 13. We're
Yes.
So, yeah.
It's still the longest technically, but yeah, we're still close to the end anyway.
Like, okay, look, for all the talk I've had about Xenogears trying your patience, this game ramps up how much patience it asks of the player to 11.
Okay, actually, is there a cutscene coming up?
We're about to be introduced to the next dungeon, Taijin's Tower.
Alright, I'll say after this one's done.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm actually about to get it.
Yeah, we'll get it in a
Tap,
bit.
tap.
And for my
Seriously, I'm sorry.
While I'm scanning along, the rest of it is mainly gameplay.
I'm sorry, it's a bit weird that they have more solid footsteps on what should be grassy ground. Nitpick, sure, but weird that they lack that attention to detail.
There, and we'll be in Abba.
It's a tower shattered in half.
Neat.
It doesn't exactly look like it's gonna be a leisurely stroll.
Nah, what makes you say that, says?
And yeah, I remember
it's you again.
If we didn't have that cutscene from before in the Artil step, but this is where he shows up.
What's another foul seed?
With the haka. Again, as mentioned in the data log, it seems to be a Sky Patrol type of LC, but nowadays it's actually more like a parasite.
Go ahead, Webs.
I'll be honest, Jova. If we're comparing these two, and I think it's a fair comparison since we haven't finished the game story at the time of this recording. Whenever 13 has a really bad scene in it, I mean, I react to it, but ultimately I just kind of move on and just kind of forget about it, like this game tends to do. Whereas whenever Xenogears has a really bad bit, I'll be honest, I'm more angry at that than I am.
You know what that means to us?
I argue because
you
with
care.
13, it's a lot more consistent that there are bad cutscenes.
The fact that you even do that, Dwebs, shows you that for all the problems you have, you still somewhat care about what's going on. Otherwise, you wouldn't get angry to begin with. The reason you're so unenthused and uninvested in this game that when a bad thing happens, you're just kind of shrug your shoulders, basically.
Well, class of fame, Pedro. You know me. If there's one thing I think is more bad for something than me finding it boring, is me being angry at it when it's not the intention.
Again, I argue that's
we all
because
have different. Lack of a better word, things.
Sure. That said, as for the reason behind it, I do state that is more likely because with this game, the bad scenes are consistent, whereas with Xenogears, the bad scenes can come as more a surprise. Admittedly, sometimes you do kind of jump the gun.
This can be discussed actually on commentary, Jova, especially because I kind of like this dungeon on paper. I just wish it was in a better game.
Oh.
Yeah, she skipped the frame.
God, this PC port.
Could it?
Or was that a thing in the original too?
No.
Well, I played the original. I played the 360 version, so if I ever come up to this bit...
No, this is exclusive to the PC port, Dwebs.
I hear it.
Yeah, you're Square characters. Hearing voices in your head is common.
Leave this place at once.
We can't leave. This is the only way for us to get through.
This is the way.
Hey,
Please,
guys,
help
it's
us.
not like we have... guys, it's not like we have an Eidolon who flew us down to Pulse that could just fly us over to the bridge.
Look for us.
Oh, wait.
So-
No, we have Bahamut. Why aren't we using Bahamut to fly?
Okay. To be fair, you can basically apply that plot hole to every game in the series.
Also,
So
Bahamut is
Yeah, like why
carrying-
not use him to squish Sephiroth under his foot?
Also, Bahamut seems to be carrying only 1-2 people at max. Sure, you can argue they can take turn and everything, but it seems. But again, if that was the case, they would have already flew from the Arctil step instead of actually
It's
also
like-
taking the caves.
Also,
It's like with
also
Power
Dribs-
Rangers and the whole why not just use the Megazord to stomp on the monster?
Also, Dribs, to be fair, in Sephiroth's case, Sephiroth could and likely would.
Remember what he did to the
reflect
Midgar
Bahamut.
Zolom.
no, I think a better example, Dwebs, it would be like, why not just use Bahamut to fly us straight to the other side of the world, like to the Temple of the Ancients or something? Why do we even need to get some?
Okay.
You know.
Like, the reason I raise a fuss is that we literally showed a cutscene of Bahamut being used to fly people. Like, they're like, okay, maybe they didn't include a cutscene of Vanille literally saying this is the only way up when, no, a previous cutscene showed that this is in fact not the only way up. Like, you know, if it were just like, oh, typical gameplay structure, I could ignore it, but the fact that the story calls attention to supposedly it being the only way, even though the story also showed that Bahamut could easily be used, just have him take a few trips at most. Yeah, you shouldn't have called attention to that, just saying.
Don't call attention to the plot hole.
Ah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
well, I could the enemy showing up out of nowhere. But I can explain more about the mechanics of Taijin's Tower in the next part anyway.
It's the same reason. It's also the same reason why I harp. It's the 13.2 literally starts by doing this, Jova, where Serah's clothes mysteriously, magically change, magical girl style, and the game never at any point even tries to explain why. But yet they still have Serah ask herself twice in the span of 2 minutes, where the hell did these clothes come from? And then they never get back to that topic. They just hope you forget. Basically, okay. This is script writing 101. Don't bring up questions for which there are no answers. All you're doing is creating plot holes when you do that. Go on, dude.
So join us in the next part when the gang go to Amarillo.
Mhm.
Whereabouts?
See everybody.
Yeah.